Well, hello, everybody. I'm Amanda Patterson. I am the admin of my private practice tribe and the owner of Caring Therapists of Broward. And thank you for watching this video today. I also wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Therapy Notes. If you are looking for an electronic health record or you're looking to transition from your current electronic health record to another one, I highly recommend Therapy Notes. I'm in the process of transferring everything over to Therapy Notes, and it's been really smooth, and I'm excited about the technical support that they have. So if you are looking to join 60,000 other therapists who use Therapy Notes, please use the code Amanda at therapynotes.com for 2 months free. I am also excited to welcome our guest today, Natalie Nesbitt. Natalie and I are what I would consider now sort of long-time friends in private practice. So welcome, Natalie.
Hey, Amanda. Hey, girl.
It's nice to see your face. So Natalie and I actually used to practice together. When I first started, we sort of shared an office together. We both rented from somebody, and that's how our journey started together. So Natalie, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your journey? And today we're going to be talking about moving a practice and being a mom in private practice.
Sure. Great. Okay. So I was practicing in Florida. I was licensed in Florida. And then my husband and I decided that we were going to take our family back up north to Pennsylvania. So my daughter at the time was about 20 months old. You and I were looking into having a group practice together, Caring Therapists of Broward. We decided it would be best for our family to move. So I transitioned into, and there I was kind of just seeing whatever clients. I didn't really have the niche. I think then it was like 2011, 2012, 2013. It wasn't really, I don't think there was a lot of what we get now as private practice owners, or, you didn't learn this stuff in school. You didn't learn how to market yourself. You didn't learn how to be an entrepreneur. So I didn't really have a niche. I was just kind of like flying on the seat of my pants. And I think that was kind of you too. I mean, right in the beginning.
For sure. There were no Facebook groups.
There was no guidance, really.
No, there was no guidance. This is when people just first started with, marketing to therapists as coaches and consultants. I mean, I'm sure there were some out there, but it wasn't like on Facebook how it is now.
No, I mean, I think we were all fending for ourselves in private practice. And I knew private practice is what I wanted to do because I knew I wanted to have a family first. And the schedule for private practice was so appealing. So I went right into private practice, and it took a little while to grow the clients, but then I moved, and then I had to start all over again. And I would say that it wasn't, luckily Pennsylvania and Florida it was easy to transition in that way, but it did take me a good 6 months to even get licensed here. And then I found out I was pregnant with my second right after I got licensed. So my private practice was on hold again. And then I started to grow it again in about 4 months after having him. But at this point, now I have information, right? Now I have these Facebook groups, and I have colleagues, and I have people that I could go to as a frame of reference for how to grow my private practice in a practical way, especially because I knew that time was an issue for me because I didn't want to be away from the kids. So I started, starting to realize, okay, wait, this is not worth my time. This is not worth my time. This is not worth my time. I'm not good at tech. I'm not good at this. What am I good at? What am I not good at? My strengths and limitations. And I tried to figure out, okay, and now about a year in, I'm exactly where I want to be. And I guess going back to the whole niche idea, a lot of people there's mixed views. Like, you have to niche down, or maybe you don't have to. And for me, I think it was great to do that. And I think it's the best thing. And now I do mostly only couples counseling, marriage counseling, relationship counseling. And that's a big difference from what I was doing in Florida, when I was just taking whoever for whatever price and whatever, just anything I can get, because we didn't really have the resources. But now that I know what's best to do, that's what I'm doing.
It's funny. I remember those beginning days of when I first started my practice, because you were in practice before I was, because I had joined and you were already there. And I remember just, okay, I'll take anybody for any price and I'll do anything. And there's sort of that funny meme of the guy sitting there like, I'll talk to anybody about anything for $5. Like that's literally what I felt like. And I see a lot of other therapists feel exactly that same way, and I watched your journey of, building down here and then having, leaving basically and having to start over, because when you move states, you really are starting over, at least in terms of clientele. You may not be starting over in terms of knowledge. So what were some of the things that you did in order to build up to where you want to be in 1 year?
Okay. So that I really had to figure out what my goal was, right? Because I still wanted to have this stay-at-home mom, persona. I mean, that was number one. I wanted to spend less time away from the kids, but also grow my practice and be, I didn't want to just go and see a client for $50, so I really wanted to make sure that my rates were where I wanted them to be, because it was time I was spending away from my kids. So what I didn't realize is that what's different from here that is different than Florida is we have seasons. And when summer came, my clients, they went to their beach houses. They went to wherever, even now in the winter, they go on their ski vacations, because my clientele is, I work on, it's called the main line, and they're more high-end clientele that can afford my services, which is great. But the downside of that is that they go away a lot.
They can also afford to do other things,
right.
like go on, ski trips and summer houses, those kinds of things. Yes.
So
interesting point.
Yeah. So I had now that I'm seeing that, I'm going to have to adjust for that in the coming years. But I didn't realize that in the beginning. I'm like, oh my gosh, I was doing so well. And then all of a sudden all my clients just like dropped off the map. So that's something that was a little difficult. And then the whole idea of those strengths and limitations, I knew that I could not build my own website. So Brighter Vision went right there, the best. I just love them, absolutely love them. And then I just hired someone for SEO, because I knew that it's just not, I tried it and I was like, this is not where I want to put my energy. I'm not working on SEO while I watch my kids playing. Like, it's just not what I want to do. And what else did you ask me? I'm just going off on a rant here.
I think that's such an important point that you bring up, is like knowing your strengths and weaknesses and your limitations in terms of times and finances and all of those kinds of things. I think there are great times. I've done a combination of DIY. My first website I built it myself. And then now I have 2 websites, and I highly recommend Brighter Vision as well. So anybody looking for a website, definitely let them know Natalie and I sent you their way. Yeah. We love them because they will do the work for you. And what I love about them is that if I need to update anything, they'll update it for me. I don't have to update it. And so if you're constantly wanting, see, the thing about Google is they want fresh content and they want new content, and they want to know that you're like alive and kicking. And so the way that they know that is that you make updates to your website on a regular basis. And so somebody like Brighter Vision will do that for you. Hiring somebody for SEO is great, because there are like a lot of nuances of things, like make sure that you add this word, but not too many times. And make sure you add your city, but not in awkward places. Make sure this is long enough, but not too long. Make sure you have descriptions for your pictures. I mean, that is time consuming.
And ain't nobody got time for that. Like, it's just not this mom. Like, I'm trying to put family first, but still have this growing, thriving practice. And like, it took me a while, but I feel like I found my sweet spot in order to network with the people that I think, because networking shouldn't just be about, oh, now I know Betty over at this clinic. It's more of, I have a personal connection with these people and I trust them with my clients. And really focusing on your niche too, and getting those referral sources for you in that area. So mine is couples therapy. So I have, divorce and family attorneys. I have financial planners that help my clients. I have, just a plethora of resources for my clients, instead of just networking and getting out there and wasting really all this precious time. And also building in the idea of self-care and spending time with my husband and making sure that I'm doing things for myself, my friends, and all of that stuff. So I really feel like over the past year, I've been able to identify what keeps me sane in this practice, the amount of hours I need to be away from the kids in order, and making sure that I go for nap times. And for moms, I think it's what's important for them. Some moms thrive from being away from their kids for a certain amount of time, which is fine. You go, you do something you're passionate about, you rejuvenate, you come back home, and you're able to be a better, more, you're just more present as a parent. And I feel like there are days when I go by and there's 4 days that I'm with the kids, and which is wonderful in a row. But then when I get out and I'm able to do something that I really love, whether it's helping other moms in private practice or helping couples, I come back and I'm excited to be with them. I'm rejuvenated. I feel empowered and encouraged to just, keep on trucking on.
Yeah. And I think you also brought up another point of what are your values, right? And you wanted to be able to, I loved how you talk about self-care, spending time with your husband, spending time with your children, and not losing your mind while you're doing all of those things. It's such a big balance, especially for moms.
It really is, because the guilt factor really weighs heavy. I think for moms specific, I think women in general, we just have like this, are we doing enough? Are we good? And I just keep saying, I'm good enough. Like I'm doing good enough in all these areas. I'm not perfect, because that's one of my downfalls is I thrive for perfection. And I just have to remind myself, I'm doing good enough all these areas. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good in my marriage. I'm feeling good with my practice. I'm feeling good with my children. And when I'm have this gut feeling that something's not, maybe I need to put more time in somewhere, then I make sure that I do that. But it wasn't just instant. It wasn't like, oh, I grew this family and this practice and I have this marriage and it's all just going to work out. It's really, day by day figuring out like, okay, what works best. And I think that's, helping other moms in private practice. It's different for all of us. For me, I made sure that I have put my children for naps and bed every day of their life, except for when I was in the hospital having my second. So I go to the practice in the morning and I drive all the way home, 30 minutes, and I took them down for their naps, and then I go back to the practice if that's what I need. And then I'm making sure that I'm home for bedtime. That's something that I knew that was important for me, and it's important for my kids. So I make sure I do that. And I think every mom has that one thing that they want to make sure that they're there for, whether it's making sure they make dinner for their kids and sitting at the dining room table with them every night, or being there for bedtime.
Yeah, I love the idea of that one thing, because I think you're right. Women feel guilty for being outside of the home, for taking care of themselves, for not putting their children first all the time. And I always, talk to especially moms, but people in general, and people that are in the giving field, right? Men and women, that if we don't put the mask on ourselves first, that
I say that too.
Yes, I love it. And so, you can identify one thing or two things. It doesn't, it can be flexible around it, but making sure that you're there for nap time. Or I know other moms that make sure they're home every night for bath time. That's like another thing I hear a lot of the times. Or that if they work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, like a traditional kind of a schedule, that on the weekends they're not doing anything for work, for instance, so that they're there. So I think you're right. Like moms are allowed to identify whatever that is that works for them. And there's going to be some sacrifices. Like you said, 30 minutes round trip is not, that's definitely a sacrifice in time and gas. And I'm sure you're listening to podcasts on that way. So it's a little bit of a win.
I do.
Yeah. I know you so well.
Yes. And it's a good time. Oh my gosh, now my cat. That's my cat.
Oh, that's your cat. We were just talking about locking cats out of the room. My cat is over here licking his paw. For those of you who have animals, like trying to do videos, it's so tough because if you lock them out, they cry. And so I let my cat come in. You can't see him, but he's over on this futon and he's actually behaving himself very nicely. But if I were to lock him out, he would cry at the door. It's very funny.
Yeah, I actually allowed the dogs in so they wouldn't bark, but of course the 17-year-old cat's at the door trying to get in. You know what? Another thing is asking for help. I think that's important too. I know I have a hard time with that. So I would imagine, and of course I hear from clients a lot that they have a hard time just being able to ask for help when when they need it. And that could look anything like we need help with SEO, or we need help with, with the kids, whatever it looks like. But you can't do it all. You really can't. And also feel like you're okay. There were so many times that I was just doing too much, and I needed to take a step back and reprioritize. And that's what I did over the past year, and really finding that balance in the schedule and the marketing, again, that works for me to have the thriving private practice. But for me, thriving is seeing 10 or 12 clients a week, and that's just enough for me. And that to me is, I don't see any more than that, because I know that right now at this point in my life, with the kids being so small, that I don't want to do any more, and being able to say no, and having those boundaries.
How did you learn to say no? Because that is such a hard one, especially I answered our calls on Friday, the office manager was out, and people are like, I need to come in today, or I need to see you, or, and I said no, because I'm not taking new clients right now. But there was this little part of me, way back here, that was like, maybe you should take them. What's one more session? And I'm like, the logic came in. I'm like, no. But, sometimes our default can just be to say yes, or to squeeze them in, or figure it out. And so how did you learn those boundaries and to say no?
It was probably because my husband said I couldn't, because he was saying, you're just going to keep taking clients. And I said, no, I won't. And I think, it's not, it hasn't been so much of saying no to clients as to, it's been, this is my schedule, and if you don't fit in it, then we need to fit you in the following week. It's more like that. Because in the beginning, like I said, I was driving back and forth and doing all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, what am I doing? They need to fit in my schedule, or I can't see them. Because I'm, again, going to be driving all the time. Driving is away from the kids too. And it's just not doable, basically. So I don't know. I'm not very good at saying no, but I do try to think it out. Is this worth my time? Is it worth being away from the kids? And when I prioritize, when I know that that's my main goal, is to mom first and be here as much as possible, then everything else kind of falls into line. If somebody else's goal is to build the practice and, first, and they know that they have great childcare and they don't have to worry about their kids and all of that stuff, and not that I don't have that, but then the goal shifts and all the objectives fall in line after that,
I also would recommend for people to follow Natalie's advice and create your schedule and stick to it. That can be something very difficult to do. And when you do take intake calls, even if you're not as full as you want to be, to let people know, okay, this is my schedule. Here's what I have available. Does that work for you? And if it doesn't work for them, then maybe they're not a good fit for you. Because one thing that I find that happens a lot is that people will snag my daytime appointments and then come in for the first session and then say, oh, by the way, I need evening appointments. And so that's kind of a funny thing that can happen. But I'll just reinforce, yes, this is I only have daytime appointments available. And a lot of the times either people will figure out a way to make it work.
Right.
They either have a flex schedule at work, or they'll come during lunch, or, unfortunately I have to pass them on to a colleague, maybe somebody who does have evening appointments available.
Right.
That can be a little harder and a little more scary when you're not full or you're not where you want to be. But I would say that, based on my experience, I tell people all the time, I used to work Saturday mornings, and I even used to work Sundays, when I was doing both, had a full-time job and building the practice. You wouldn't catch me in the office on a Saturday or Sunday now, right? And those people who needed those Saturdays and Sundays, they found their way into my office on a Monday or whatever it looked like. And so, as your life changes, your schedule can change and your boundaries can change. I think that we're talking a lot about flexibility and fluidity, about what it means to be an entrepreneur and be a therapist.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, 100%. And I work weekends so that I don't work evenings. So I give up my weekend. We never really had a weekend, because my husband, we always worked weekends. So we still are kind of like that until the kids are of school age, when they're off on the weekends. That's when I think and that's another important thing to remember, is it's always changing. Just because you're doing something for this 6 months doesn't mean that you have to apply it the next 6 months. You know, you figure out what works for you, and the people will come. Like you're saying, the people will figure out a way. There will be some people that just absolutely cannot do it because they absolutely need maybe a 7 o'clock appointment at night. But most of the people are just going to figure out a way to come see you if that's what they really want. And those are the best clients to have because they're committed to the work, really.
So Natalie, if people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Oh gosh, the playground. I'm just kidding. No, the best way is to go on my website and find out all the information about me and the services I offer, which is mainlinemarriagecounseling.com. And then through there, they can contact me and just email me. They can ask me questions. I'm on social media, but you know me, I don't love it. So, you know, you can go on there and you can message me through that, but it's really the best way would be to email me through my webpage. And then, like I said, find out more information about me.
Hey, your 50 days of love movies was awesome. Natalie did this great, was it in December? Was it around then, November, December?
Yeah.
I feel like it was.
It was, yeah.
Like 50 movies that
portrayed. Yeah, my top.
I loved it.
Top 50 romantic movies. Yeah.
Yes, that was awesome. But I'm sure that took a lot of time and energy, but it was fun.
It was. And what I would do is I would do that either, you know, first thing when I woke up in the morning before the kids woke up, I'd get my post out, or in the evening when I was nursing my son, I would get that post out. And it was easy for me to make time for that small little post. But it, you know, I realize it's really not for me, and I try every once in a while, but that was part of it too. Like figuring out what is worth my time. Where do I want to put this energy right now? But it doesn't mean that when the kids are a little older that I won't be back at it on all these social media platforms. But it's just not for me right now.
So those of you who are social media people, please feel free to follow me on my social media. I am active on social media. I love social media. Don't ask me how I find the time, but it's kind of like that same thing. You've got like 5 minutes here and there, 5 minutes here and there. And if you would, please like this video and subscribe to this channel so that you can see any upcoming videos on private practice tools. Thanks, Natalie.
Thanks, Amanda.